You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, Charge Hayner at Zoom the TBT, and it is our honor tonight to have Coach Robert Jones of Norfolk State coming by, and he's also now the head coach of HBCU in TBT. Coach Jones, how you doing tonight?
Hey man, how you doing? How's everything?
Dude, everything's great. So you were the coach last year. HBCU made a great run to the regional final, barely losing to the finalist Autism Army, now the Prayer for Autism. So first of all, how excited are you guys to continue to elevate the brand and possibly go even one step further this year in TBT?
You know, to be honest with you, at first I wasn't sure I was going to coach the team again because, you know, last year, being a New Yorker, they asked me to coach the team because I know the year before they didn't really fare too well. So I guess they wanted a little bit more structure or a real coach, to coach them. And, I did it, but it was it was in the Rucker. I'm from New York. You know, my son had never been to the Rucker before, so I was able to take him to the Rucker. And of course, we had a good run. So it kind of all just lined up perfectly to do it last year. But then, some of the guys who were on the team last year said they didn't want to play. Like they kind of twisted my arm really to coach again, to be totally honest with you, because it really wasn't on my radar totally to do again this summer. Even though it was a great experience, it was fun. We had a pretty good run. I felt like the run should even went even further because a couple of things happened in that last game that we should have won that game, to be honest with you. But
it was tight. It was a tight game.
Yeah, so it was I feel like we should have went a little further, but at the same time, I do have obligations, like you said, to my university to get my team rolling. And the summertime is a critical time for us as well. So, I kind of think I figured out how to figure out the balance, this summer. So I'm gonna do it again.
Well, let's stay there for a minute though. So how is recruiting going? Since you talk about that, we'll stay there. How are the Spartans looking next season? What do you got coming in?
Recruiting went well. I mean, we signed 5 guys so far. We still got 2 scholarships open, but it looks like we'll probably be, take care of those relatively shortly. But the first 5 that we signed, we're really excited about it. We hit the transfer portal like everybody else. Transfer portal is the easiest way to rebuild your team and probably honestly get better players than you would have got coming straight out of high school, because some guys coming out of high school, they have big dreams of grandeur and it doesn't pan out. And then they end up dropping to the level that they probably should have went to the first place anyway. So, I think we hit it big with a couple guys in the portal. So I'm excited about coaching this team. The guys come back on campus in a couple of weeks. So I'm excited about coaching the team. I think we can make another run.
So HBCUnited, and obviously it's a collection of players that played HBCUs. What is a misconception that a common basketball fan would have about HBCUs in general? What was the guy who is a casual fan not understand about the basketball experience of playing or coaching at HBCU?
I think there's a couple of things. I think one thing is that people got to realize that HBCUs is not a total separate division. I think sometimes people think it's a whole separate division. No, we're Division I basketball. Yes, we're not in the SEC or anything like that, but we're Division I basketball. So I think that's the first misconception. The second misconception I think that people don't understand is that all HBCUs are not the same. Just like you have Kentucky's of the world, and then you got St. Francis, Brooklyn. In division, there's kind of the Kentuckys of the world of HBCUs. The HBCUs that have the resources that can play with half the country. When it comes to budgetary things like that. I think a lot of people think they hear stories. I forgot the gentleman who had got the equipment job, Ed Reed, I think it was, football job. And he was talking about, he was walking around campus, picking up garbage and doing this and doing that. I've been at Norfolk State 16 years. I never threw out trash in my life, so, I don't know what he's talking about with that stuff and talking about the dorms and things like that. And we got some state-of-the-art dorms that we just built. So, everybody's not the same. And I think a lot of times the average person just lumps all of that in together. Everybody's the same, and it's not the same, at all. So between those two things that, HBCU is a separate division. And for me, even when I recruit, Norfolk State is a HBCU by tradition, that's our tradition. But what I recruit is that, we're one of the best mid-major basketball programs in the country. And if you look at our stats and you look at who we beat and some of our big wins and rankings and things like that, it says that. It says that we're one of the best mid-major basketball teams in the country, not just this HBCU. Like, I don't know what the hell HBCU basketball is supposed to be. Like, you know, it's like we're just a mid-major basketball team that's traditionally at HBCU.
Well, what's always fascinating to me too, and I was telling Charles about somebody schedule a show, and that's why I really want to have you on. I find it interesting is every year I always look at, because I'm more the college fan of the two of us. He's more of the G League fan. And I always look at the teams when they start non-conference and they've had their non-conference schedule, they start the conference schedule. And conferences that a lot of conferences, mid-majors and low majors, have to schedule what's called a bye game. And all of us know what that is, but just people listening who may not know, it's when a school will take a paycheck in lieu of a gate to take a road game. That's the term for it. And a lot of mid-majors and low majors fund their entire athletic departments basically by taking these games. So I was talking about this is like a lot of these smaller conferences take bye games and their non-conference schedules suffer because of it. And the historical HBCU conferences, the MEAC and the SWAC, you look at their non-conference schedules when you start this, and it ends up like first place one year in the SWAC was like 2-9 to start conference schedule. And I was asking you if you like this, if you have a problem scheduling bye games, and you're like, no one wants to play us. And you were talking about that, and it's like,
I mean, that's a fact that no one wants to play. Like, some of your favorite schools don't want to play us, you know. And the thing is that we keep a record of people who say, "Hell no, you're too good" and stuff like that, because we want to show recruits that like, even though there's a perception about whatever HBCUs, some of your favorite schools won't play us because they're worried about losing us. And we keep a record of that, to be honest. And maybe I shouldn't have said it on the thing, because now people really don't want to play us.
well, yeah, because now I'm going to ask you if you're going to name a name, but I don't think you don't want to.
Maybe once we cut the cameras off, I'll tell you something. But you know, it is tough for us, because it's almost like it's a respect level, but it's also frustrating because, you know, when you win, people say, "Oh, you're too good to play." Like, we're not risking giving you $80,000 and you get the $80,000 plus the win. You know, that's not what a guaranteed game. See, you gave the political term, Andrew, of a guaranteed game. A guaranteed game is supposed to be a guaranteed check for the loser and a guaranteed win for the guy giving a check. But sometimes those guaranteed games go bad, and the loser, the winner gets the check and the win. You know, like, so it's like the person that was supposed to lose, I should say. So, you know, we've been in those situations that we've got the check and the win before, you know, a lot of times, honestly. So it's tougher for us to get games. And then with the level of success that we've had, you know, we've been to the NCAA tournament 2 out of the last 3 years, you know, and before that we went to the NIT and we beat Alabama first round of the NIT. And so people are not like knocking down the door to play Norfolk State at this juncture, you know, to be honest.
Is it worse now? Because I know RPI was a little more neutral from location. I know they switched the net the last few years, and net is punishes people a lot more for losing at home. Has it gotten harder for you to schedule with the net over the RPI?
Yes, and then, like, last year, I'll give you an example. Most people looking for guaranteed games, and there's a scheduling board that, you know, Division I coaches have and stuff like that, which you probably might be aware of. Even if you're not, there is one, and they'll say, "Hey, looking for a guaranteed game on, you know, such and such date. We're offering whatever amount of money, and we're looking for net ranking 250 or above, 275 or above. You know, sometimes 300 or above. It's 300 that didn't really get a win, but 300.
Yeah.
Or above. You know, last year we finished 172. So it's like we're like almost like too good to get one of those guarantee games, but then still a little too low to get like just a regular home and home series. You know, because if you're like top 100, then a team don't mind playing you home and home because it doesn't really bother.
Or at least 2 out of 1, at least 2 out of 3.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know? So like it's like we're too good to get the guarantee game, but then we're not quite good enough to get the home and home series, 2 for 1. Or something like that. So it's like, that's why we're like stuck in just influx, like, it's just because nobody wants to play us.
Yeah, it's always kind of fascinating too, because what's really fascinating about it too is like, you're almost like too good in the sense like you get no credit for being Norfolk State, because while you're good, there's no credit involved, but you get all the blame if you lose to you guys.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. You know, I mean, people, you know, like, they give you, like you said, they say, no, you're too good to play. But then the teams that do play, if we, you know, when we beat them, they're like, well, how'd you lose to them? Well, they're actually not that bad. You know, that's how we lost to them. You know, so, you know, that's always a tough one to, you know, try to figure out a little bit. And we got to navigate scheduling. You know, we haven't got an East Coast guarantee game in the last 6 years.
Wow, that's
Like,
crazy.
every time we got one, but I don't count it because it was part of a tournament. We got South Carolina when Frank Martin was there. We got South Carolina like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe, but that was part of a tournament, so they had to play. But as far as just regularly scheduling an East Coast guarantee game, we haven't got one in 6 years. Like usually the games we play, like last year we played New Mexico, we played UCLA, Baylor, Houston, teams like that. I think those teams might not be totally familiar with the Norfolk State brand, but everybody on the East Coast is very familiar.
Yeah.
So they're like, hell no, we're not playing you, and pretty much in those words, hell no, coach, we're not playing.
So, Charles, I know we were looking at the roster, getting back to the actual TBT as opposed to just sort of the experience coaching at Norfolk State. I know you like the roster. Is there anything on that roster that really excites you, Charge?
Yeah, first of all, really impressive, Hayner. He's been more excited about this interview than probably any interview we've ever done. So appreciate you getting on Coach Jones and Hayner getting to flex his college basketball knowledge. So great stuff there. But yeah, so before I get into kind of one of the more exciting names on the HBCU roster, a couple of names are missing. So Jermaine Morrow obviously was just
he was great last year. He was great
fantastic last year, and Brandon Tabb. So they're not currently on the roster. Are they able to play this year? Or they have other commitments? So I think that's obviously a big piece of your team and what it was about last year.
Marrow will probably be able to play. We're still worried, but he was waiting because he might get one of those summer contracts like in Puerto Rico or something like that. So that was kind of influx. But Brandon Tabb is having a child, so he's not going to play. So
it's either babies or marriages this time of year, what makes it tough for the TBT guys. But yeah, both those guys were fantastic last year. So hopefully, best wishes to Brandon. Obviously, got to be home with the family, but hopefully Jermaine can get out there. But pro contract in Puerto Rico kind of trumps that if that's what's happening. But you do have a really, really big name on your roster and a really big guy on your roster right now by the name of Kyle O'Quinn. So listed as a center. So is he going to suit up, or is he going to be more on the coaching staff for you this year?
Kyle he's about, let's say, out of 100%, he's probably about 60-40 playing. I think about that because I think the thing that helped Kyle, because like Kyle was totally against playing until he came to the game, like the tournament last year at Rucker, when he actually saw that it was other people that was like, older than him playing, had similar experiences as him, with the NBA or a cup of coffee in the NBA. I mean, he had 8 years in the NBA. So
one cup of coffee.
His experience is a little different.
He had an entire Starbucks franchise in the NBA. He didn't have a cup of coffee. Yeah,
he did. So, but I do think that him coming last year, didn't see the level of competition, that was out there. I think that piqued his interest so much. And even with him being on the roster, he registered himself. So that wasn't like one of us who did it. So he actually did his own registration. So that's why I said that he's, on the side of potentially playing.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic because we always talk about age in the TBT, and every time we see a roster, let's say Autism Army, I'll just call them Autism Army. It's their third name change, but those are some seasoned guys out there. They're easily 30+ guys out there who showed age is just a number. Heartfire's got we good friends with Mike, and we pick on him about how old his team is, but I tell you what, man, that 30+ crowd at TBT has just always figured out a way to win games. So you obviously, got a skilled guy, and some maturity with a great bench player too. If he doesn't decide to play, just wants to be part of the team, coach, whatever.
Don't plant that idea out there. Don't put that. Don't even speak that into being.
He's playing, but either way, big win having a guy like Kyle O'Quinn sitting there next to you.
Without question, I totally agree.
Yeah, and then who are some of the new guys people should look out for? So obviously got to fill Brandon, and I see a couple guys out here like James Daniel and Stanley Davis are kind of a couple names, and have some pretty good basketball resumes. So is there anything about those two guys that really made you want to go out and recruit them for your team this year, or any other guys on the team that you want to talk to?
Stanley Davis, I coached against him a few times because he played at Morgan State University, and he was a pretty good scorer there, but he's actually, in my opinion, turned into a better player since he's been pro. I've seen some recent footage of him. Even last year, I think he wanted to play last year, but just the roster was full. But this year, with the openings with Tabb, potentially not playing, we needed to fill some guys. So I think he'll be a great addition. Honestly, I think he'll be a great addition. James Daniel, we played against him on the Skip to My Lou team. So that was interesting because I had coached against him for so many years at Howard. university when he was like a leading scorer in the nation. So, you know, having a guy like that can score the ball the way he scores the ball could pay dividends for us. You know, he's still deciding exactly what role he want to do, because right now he's like a big time trainer in Florida. So he's thinking about, he maybe wants to do like the player development side of like our training camp, you know, and not actually play. But you know, if he does, it'll be great. If he doesn't, it's cool too, because you know, we do got another guy, Penny Williams, Pendarvis Williams. I don't know if he's on the screen yet.
Yeah, he's there. Yep.
Pendarvis Williams, you know, he's 6'6", you know, point guard, combo, you know, guard, really natural position as a point guard. And you know, he was MEAC Player of the Year in his stint at Norfolk State. You know, and that's really how the kind of Kyle thing happened, because him and Kyle were teammates. You know, in that game that when we beat Missouri in the NCAA tournament, you know, Kyle got a lot of credit for having 26 and 14 against Missouri in an upset, but Penny had 20 points as a sophomore in that game, you know, which helped tremendously. So Penny's now, he's playing, what's he playing? He was in Italy for a while. I think he's always playing that now, but he's just had a great season. And you know, he'll be a great addition, man. He's a super skilled guy, great size. We tried to get Penny to play last year, but hell, I think he was having a baby. Everybody having his babies. A lot of babies.
Summer baby things. Well, babies and weddings. That's always the easy way out of the TBT. But yeah, no, so I'm excited about that team again. Like I said, made that nice run to the round of 16. The one guy we do need to talk about didn't get in the game last year, but Snacks. So Snacks obviously didn't hit the floor, but has such a big impact on the team. So tell us a little bit about Snacks. What makes him special?
You know, Snacks actually is involved in AAU, so you know he's like a coach for real. You know, so Snacks, I mean, he has that social media presence, that visibility for what he did a couple of years ago that made Sports Center and things like that. You know, he probably won't get in the game again this year. I tell you that much. You know, if you want,
need a blowout, man. We need some Snacks in our life.
Yeah, so I mean, a blowout, hey, that's great, but he probably won't get it again either. But you know, he's you know,
Coach keeping it real.
Nah, I'm okay. That's me. I keep it all the way real. He's a good dude, you know, and definitely he adds value to the team, you know, even if it's not playing value.
What's that NCAA? What's that NCAA
awesome
rule? Going pro in something other than sports?
Without question, that's him.
So we're talking about this real quick. Regionals, you were looking, the website still has you in Syracuse, but I guess you're telling us it might be somewhere else?
Lubbock.
Okay. Charles, what's that look like in Lubbock? What do you think their road is?
Lubbock looks wide open right now. I think, you know, no disrespect, I think Air Raiders is probably going to be the #1 seed and probably the team to beat this year. They formed last year, had a great first-year team, 99% Texas Tech alumni. Looks good. You got a new Texas alumni team out there. You got the Enchantment out there. Then after that, it kind of gets to, you know, more of the newer team, some question marks around there. So I think it's wide open. And with the HBCU success last year, I could see these guys coming in at a 3-4 seed and you know, really making a difference. You got in the lab, you got Devonta Friga's team in the lab. So, you know, those guys should be interesting to see what they bring to the table, but it's wide open. And I think, you know, really anyone's, you know, region to win, and Air Raiders obviously hosted that, gets that extra benefit as well. So, you know, moving from Syracuse, you had a couple past champions, and Lubbock, I think is going to be a lot more competitive, and there's some games to win down there.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, we'll win a few more. One more than last year, 2 more than last year. Just keep growing this thing.
Yeah,
Is having the bid in your pocket because you won, has that made getting organization recruiting a little bit easier? Has it been a little easier getting organized having the win in your pocket, like having the bid set?
I think you know, after last year's run, you know, to be I mean, Andrew, like, I've seen the TBT for years. You know, I've seen the TBT. I remember it was $2 million. I don't know what happened to the budget cut, but I remember it was $2 million.
That was the COVID year. I think that's when it dropped. Yeah, it was $2 million.
So
great.
I got involved during the budget cut year. You know, obviously. Right? So it looks like, you know, it'd be another budget cut year this year. But I didn't realize how many people actually watched the TBT, because after we made our run, and maybe our run captivated some people because of like that HBCU underdog thing. And there's obviously a lot of HBCU alumni across the country because even in that last game in the Rucker, you see people with their, their sweatshirts on, their flags, their types of things.
It was electric. It was such an electric atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy in there, man.
Yeah.
Like the 1,000 people they allowed in there, it felt like 10,000 people in there.
The best of New York, in one night.
Yeah, it was ridiculous in there. So I think that after that tournament, after we made that run to basically the Sweet 16, I guess you would say, we made that run there.
Super 16. Let's not get sued, but yeah, go ahead.
Super 16. Sorry, okay, we won't say Super 16. That so many former HBCU alumni players hit my DM, like in Instagram, Twitter, things like that, saying that they want to be involved in this situation because I guess the previous year I think they lost by almost 40. The previous
they got
it was a bad round.
Yeah. So now trying to bring a little of a semblance of structure and stability to the program. So many other great players reached out to try to play this year, and then our GM Stephen Whitley, I know he's still trying to sift through what's going to be for like the last couple roster spots. So it's definitely something that I think that we could continue to grow, and we'll see how it goes this year. Hopefully, like you said, we can win 1 or 2 more games, and well, hell, if we win 1 or 2 more games, I guess we'd be in
you're right up in there, yeah.
So
go back to Philly.
Going to Philly. So I guess we can close on this. Coach Jones, what would be a bigger memory for you? Being on the bench when you guys were able to beat Missouri when you were assistant in 2012 in the tournament, or winning TBT? What would be a bigger memory for you think?
Well, I'm 22. I mean, let me see this. Yeah, once again, give you a real transparent answer. When I was assistant coach in 2012, the associate head coach, we beat Missouri. I think my bonus was $4,000 for beating Missouri. if we win the TBT, I think my share is like almost $70,000. So I tell you what would be the bigger memory. $70,000 would be the bigger memory than
money talks.
Money talks, bullshit walks. It's funny to this interview the day that the Live PGA thing happens. That seems to be going. It seems to be.
Oh gosh, yeah.
We won't get it. We're not getting into that. Fuck that. We're not getting into that.
I mean, I think that it'll both be up there either way because. The Missouri game was, that's until FDU won their game this year, we had the highest point spread victory in NCAA history. We were 21.5 point underdog. FDU was a 23.5 point underdog. So they beat us, by 2 points, I guess, but to see like, if we are able to win $1 million, to see like 2 years ago, like we said, HBCU, we lost by 40 to now $1 million. I mean, I might as well retire now. Like I wouldn't coach again. I wouldn't coach the TBT again. As much as I wouldn't coach the TBT again. It's over. Like because it's like what more you gonna do?
Definitely. Well, Coach Jones, it's a real pleasure coming on. Thanks for coming by. Really an honor and a pleasure, man.
No problem, man. No problem. Anytime.
This has been the head coach of Norfolk State, Robert Jones, joining us on Zoom to TBT, and this is Charge and Hayner signing off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.